Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure and it's an absolute honor to welcome each one of you to the 12th edition of Defense Expo happening live and loud in the state of Gujarat. As we get started with this segment, draft standards for drone survey, quality aspects of drone-based EO imaging for land survey purpose. Let me give a little brief of Center of Excellence Survey, which was inaugurated by Honorable Raksha Mantri on 16th December 2021 with an objective to develop it as a premier organization in the field of use of emerging technologies in land survey. It caters to the requirement of MOD, DGDE, as well as the other ministries and departments of Government of India. Since its inception, COE, that is Center of Excellence Survey, has achieved several milestones, and its partnerships with organizations like NRSC, BARC, BISAC, and the list is endless. In order to formulate uniform standards of drone imagery for land survey purpose, the first draft drone standards for land survey in the country was published by Center of Excellence Survey in active collaboration with leading experts. With this, ladies and gentlemen, may I request you all to kindly put your hands together and help me to welcome our Defense Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Dr. Ajay Kumar ji, to kindly join us on the stage, please. And at the same time, may I request Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma, Director General Defense Estates, to kindly hand over the bouquet to our special guest this evening. Thank you so much, sir, for gracing the occasion with your presence. And may I request Shri Valeti Premchand ji to kindly hand over the bouquet to Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma ji. Well, to get the evening rolling, may I request Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma ji, Director General Defense Estates, to kindly join us on the stage for the welcome address.
Namaskar, everybody. Dr. Ajay Kumar, a learned Defense Secretary, distinguished panelists from prestigious academic institutions, which includes IIT Roorkee, IIT Delhi, IIT Ropar, BITS Pilani, and Goa, Delhi Technical University, panelists from premier government institutions, namely National Remote Sensing Center, NIC, Survey of India, and stakeholders from drone industry, including Shri Smith Shah, President of the Drone Federation of India. I welcome you all on behalf of the Center of Excellence Survey under NIDEM and DGD to the seminar on quality aspects of drone-based electro-optical imaging for land survey, organized on the sidelines of this Defense Expo. The idea of development of first ever standards for drone survey emanated during the periodic review meetings chaired by Defense Secretary Sir on ongoing drone survey of 62 cantonments spread across the country. The survey is being conducted by DGD and Military Survey Department of DG Military Operations on almost similar methodology being adopted by Survey of India under their national survey program called Swamitva. During analysis of data generated from drone survey, it was observed that there were a number of issues related to distortion, shadows, stitching, and projection systems, which resulted in shortcomings in the data processing and achievement of the desired results. These shortcomings led to the inconclusive studies relating to identification of objects and demarcation of our defense land boundaries and survey numbers. These issues were shared with the Defense Secretary Sir during these meetings. Defense Secretary could visualize that the aspects related to the quality and standards of drone imagery are relevant not only to the Ministry of Defense or DGDE, but common to all agencies across the country which are actually having the domain function of land survey. He emphasized the need for framing of standards of drone imagery for land survey, which will not only help the DGDE, but also serve other organizations who are actually dealing with this job. In fact, the aim which was raised by the Honorable Defense Secretary was that we should make standards which are the world standards. I mean, that is the aim. we are achieving, we are trying to achieve. I must convey that in this exercise, Professor Manan Suri of Siren and IIT Delhi, he has played a key role in preparation of the first draft of concept note, which has been discussed amongst experts. Many of you are sitting today here, and I must also place on record the valuable contributions made by Professor Kamal Jain. He is guiding all the panelists in making these drafts and coming out for the second draft of the standards. I also acknowledge domain contributions from Shri Navendran of NRSC and other experts from Survey of India, NIC, IITs and DTU. As we all know that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, I sincerely hope that this seminar turns out to be the first step in development of standards for drone-based imagery, not only for land survey, but also for multitude of drone-based applications. May this turn out to be a big contribution from Indian academia and scientific community to the world. I once again welcome all the esteemed guests, panelists, and students from various universities and colleges. Thank you.
What a promising start. Thank you so much, sir, for the comprehensive capture and a captivating opening address. Next, and without further ado, I would request you all to kindly put your hands together to help me to welcome Defense Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Dr. Ajay Kumar, for the inaugural address.
Good evening, friends. Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma, Director General Defense Estate, Professor Manan Suri, Shri Smith Shah, and distinguished faculty members from various IITs and other technical institutions. Friends, you must be wondering, why are we having a seminar on quality standards at DEF Expo? And I'll give you a very simple explanation. You know, few years back when we used to do DEF Expo now for last 25 years, but when we spoke about defense exports, people said, you know, how do you do defense exports from India? And that is not too long back. In 2017-18, we had next to negligible defense exports from this country. And of course, we are very proud that today we have grown 8 times. Our defense exports are reaching 80 countries. Services. If we are today the largest surveyor using drone systems in the world, and we have also successfully, we are the largest real-time biometric database user of the world, Aadhaar. We are the largest digital payment system in the world at the lowest cost, UPI-based system. We are the now we are today also the largest user of drone-based survey in the world. And what it has demonstrated is that land, some of you who have actually dealt with land, you know, as IS officers, we deal with land when we are subdivision and collectors in the district. The Director General of Defense Estate officers deal with it throughout maintaining land, and defense is the largest holder of government land in the country. I must tell you, the record management of land is in a total disarray in general. There may be exceptions in some places. But drone has today provided us a technology where all these things can be put up in a proper, nice system. You actually look at the way the prices of land are going on. The land as a resource, its value is going up all the time. But We still don't have proper records. If number of disputes that are there in our courts relating to land, nearly 2/3 of the disputes in all civil courts relate to land only. And also because of interpretation, lack of proper land records, there are a lot of these disputes. Some may be for other reasons also. So drone is a good way to solve a problem which we have not been able to solve so far with the current level of technology. That is the first point. And we are the ones in the world who are actually using it to the largest extent. What does it mean? It means that we are in some way creating knowledge. We have potential to become the Aadhaar, like we are the largest biometric database in the world, like we are the largest digital payment system in the world. We have a potential to become the largest drone-based surveyor in the world. But for this, one of the essential things is to be able to improve and standardize the quality and quantity of and whatever else. I do not know much about it, by the way, but I have been called here, so I am telling you what my understanding of why this is so important. If we are able to standardize this, then we have a product which can be universalized. And that is an exercise today. What has happened over the years is development of standards is something which has lagged behind in this country. Today, technology is becoming synonymous with standards, development of standards. Proprietary standards, open standards, but standards. Today in 5G, there are several standard essential patents which every time you buy any 5G equipment, or for that matter in 4G or 3G or 2G also, you have to pay to those people who have created those standards. And therefore, if we are looking to become a Vishwaguru, a leader of technology in any field, development of standards has to become a habit in all the domains, irrespective of whether it is survey or some other domain. This has now started to happen. As India has started developing its own technologies, in defense we are looking at developing new innovations. Professor Manan Suri is associated, and today we have just rewarded him for his work on image analysis through his startup. Raksha Mantri just awarded him, and congratulations to him for the work that he has done. Now, when we are doing this kind of path-breaking work for which there has been no precedence, no parallel, no earlier, I think immediately we have to be cognizant that we can develop the standard for that technology. And if you are able to develop standard, you have the ability then to give it to rest of the world on your standard, and the rest of the world is then dependent on you. And that is why I started saying, what you have the opportunity is now the whole of developed world could actually be using your technology of drone-based survey once you are able to do this. That is the great opportunity that we have. And we have the lead. We are doing under Samavitva, we are doing it under defense survey. And so we took this initiative. We means the Center of Excellence, COE on survey took the initiative, and they brought out the first standard with the help of Professor Suri. And my only request at this moment is to all the people who are associated this work is that let us put our thinking caps and as the earliest come out with a standard. That is only the first step. The second step is we have to get it internationally accepted, and that we can do because of the volume of work that we are doing. And once that we have made the world standard, we have started really a new kind of era in our definition of innovation and new technology development. It is in this regard I must compliment COE survey for the work they have done. They have done extremely fast and quick work for surveying the 62 cans. We are already using the work which they have done for several applications which may not be relevant here, which are generating additional revenue to the cans and improving their land management system. But I would like to take this opportunity to compliment them for the work that they have done. And I would like to compliment this whole initiative which has been taken by Professor Suri and his colleagues, Smith Shah, for his guidance and association, because this is not only for academics. I am very clear, because since this is coming as a solution for practitioners, it has to be also with the industry. Any standard, and most standards today in new technologies are driven with the help of industry standards. So, big thanks to Drone Federation of India for their contribution to this effort. But this is just the first step, as Mr. Ajay Sharma rightly said. It's a journey, it's a long journey, and we have taken this first step. But let us now resolve that we will not stop till we have reached the end of this journey. We have a standard which we can proudly say, this is a standard by which we can use drones for land survey. I wish you all the very best, and once again, I compliment all those who have been associated with this effort so far, and I encourage others to join this effort. Thank you very much.
Well, I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to the respective Defense Secretary, Ministry of Defense, for gracing the occasion with his presence, and at the same time requesting Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma ji to kindly hand over the memento to Dr. Ajay Kumar. Well, you are the first lot to witness it live, the release of version 2 of draft standards.
I'll have to take leave because the Bandhan ceremony is about to start and I have to be there.
Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ajay Kumar ji, for joining us. With this, ladies and gentlemen, and without further ado, we're going to get started with the panel discussion. And to do the needful, may I request Professor Kamal Jain, Professor IIT Roorkee, to kindly join us on the stage, please. Shri V. Udaya Kumar, DDG, NIC, New Delhi. तालियों में कोई कंजूसी नहीं होनी चाहिए. We have a gathering of the wonderful audience in the house with young blood, young heart. Next, may I request Shri J. Narendra ji to kindly join us on the stage. Please, scientist, engineer, NRSE, Hyderabad. A very warm welcome, sir. Next, requesting Professor K.C. Tiwari, Professor, Delhi Technological University, to kindly join us on the stage, please. Next, may I request Dr. Reet Kamal Tiwari, Assistant Professor, IIT Ropar, to kindly join us on the stage, please. Next, may I request Professor Tanmay Tulsidas to kindly join us on the stage, please, who is the Assistant Professor, BITS Pilani, Goa campus. Next, may I request Kanral Rajat Sharma, Director, Survey of India, Dehradun, to kindly join us on the stage, please. Next, may I request Shri Samit Shah, President, Drone Federation of India, to kindly join us on the stage, please. Next, Shri Vipul Singh, CEO, Aero Family, to kindly join us on the stage, please. And the last panelist for the evening is Shri Rahul Jain, MD, Matrix Geo Solutions Private Limited, to kindly join us on the stage, please. And to get the evening started, may I request our moderator, Professor Manan Suri, Professor, IIT Delhi, to kindly join us on the stage, please. With this, I'm going to hand over the stage to Professor Manan Suri.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this session, and I would like to again heartily welcome all the fellow panelists. So, as you all may have heard, that the Honorable DefSec sir laid out the vision of this session. So today I'll just be, facilitating the moderation of it. What I would like to put on record is that if I in this domain, I just have a drop of knowledge, and this is the ocean that you see over here. So I would like to start with inviting Professor Kamal Jain to share his thoughts on the initiative. Please welcome Professor Kamal Jain. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you. I think already vision is defined and Dr. Sharma, Ajay Sharma has given the objective also. Basic thing is already standards for aerial surveys defined worldwide, but now we are practicing with drone. So because there is a slight change, so without going into theory of that, the new standards which we are proposing and we are giving the difference also what is there in existing one, which is followed in Swamitva. I see many students, so I think it may be of your interest, slightly technical thing. I'll skip these slides because already the background is given. COE is working in mapping, then artificial intelligence, especially for change detection. So straight away, I come to the drone survey. You know, when there is any type of survey, especially drone survey, the basic steps are we define the scale on which we want to prepare the map. Then for that scale, whenever you are the projection system, because we know that Earth is not a flat system, it is round, so it has to be, when you are converting into flat system, you define some projection system. Especially standard projection systems are there, which Survey of India follows, but especially in drone, it is considered as large-scale mapping. So standards, the different projection systems are there, which matches with the GPS. Then ground controls are required because the survey is not done in one patch, it is done in multiple patch, and then you want to attach different patches. So you require ground control points. Then drone mapping is standard, because when you are using drone, so it is important point is sensors here there which you are using, especially camera. So here what should be the standard for camera, because for aerial photogrammetry photographs which are used for photogrammetry, already standards are defined. So that we call metric camera. Here we are calling this as non-metric camera. So that's why standards, so that it matches with the metric camera, that needs to be defined. Then once you prepare the map, then how to collect field data, because attribute data is required. Ultimately, this map will be published in GIS, Geographical Information System, you know, for any type of query you want to make on that. Otherwise, it will be a simple map. Then if you want to share this information, it has to be given in not only publish. Publish is one thing, it will become static. If you want dynamic, we are calling it WebGIS. So here briefly I am comparing, you know, national-wide the first program of large-scale mapping. Large-scale, why I say, because standard maps are up to 1:25,000, which Survey of India was giving. So this was the first time when earlier it was NLRMP, you see the rightmost column, now it is called DLRMP, especially that was for land record, and all the land records are 1:4,000 scale. So because it was 1:1 mapping, so it continued with that. Then came the Swamitra scheme, especially that was for a habitation area, and initially it was thought to use high resolution satellite image, but in 3-4 years we see that drone has come in and people started using for mapping. So this was started using drone only, not high resolution satellite image. The scale was 1:500 here, because ultimately, you know, land cost is increasing. So that's why 1:500, that I call it half brick accuracy, which is 4.5 inch. Now, what we are talking today, DGD, large, you know, Kent survey or this all land military survey, So here, area is of two types. One may be habitation, second is open area. So the proposal is like Swamitra, we can go for 1:500, and then for open area, it's not required 500 because when you are going for large scale, it involves cost. So it can be 1:1000. Every time when you define the scale, accuracy is automatically defined. So here, accuracy is defined, accuracy is in horizontal terms or vertical terms. So here, accuracy is defined, horizontal accuracy in case of Swamitva, it was 12 centimeter plus minus 6 centimeter, that is called standard deviation. Vertical accuracy is 20 centimeter plus minus 10 centimeter. In DLRMP, it was 50 centimeter, which is equivalent to 2000, but for 4000, they proposed initially 50 centimeter, which is matching with the high resolution satellite image. Same accuracy is proposed in case of DGD survey also. Then projection because every time now we are shifting, Survey of India is also shifting their control points from normal projections to GPS projection, which is commonly followed is UTM WGS. So same is there in DLRMP as well as Swamitra, and same is proposed here in DGD. Now control point, this is the main thing, cost involving thing. Yeah, when it started with DLRMP, already Survey of India has control point all over India that we call triangulated stations. So that was called primary control points. So here in DLRMP, it was proposed that primary control points will be created using GPS observation because they are converting their control point also from available projection to WGS. So primary control point observation, then which was about say 30 to 50 kilometer distance. Then secondary control point maybe up to 15 to 20 kilometer, and tertiary within village boundary, that was 5 to 7 kilometer. So it involved cost because primary as per standard has to be, observation has to be taken for 72 hours, and then it requires processing. Similarly, secondary and tertiary. In Swamitra, it is Survey of India proposed that the course station, those who are aware, for GPS, you have a base station and you have a rover. So every time you have to get the absolute coordinate using base station, which takes time. But if already you have a base station, then that time is saved, and that may be more reliable. So that type of base station was proposed by Survey of India, that is course. So in Swamitra, they are establishing course station all over India. And these stations will work as base station, and the correction will be, correction is passed directly to the rover. So in Swamitra, it was proposed, but because this activity is going on, and if defense state wants to do job in different area where codes are not there, so it is proposed that similar to codes which are already existing internationally, that may be used. I'll go in detail when I talk about this. Then the source data means sensors. So in drone, RGB was normally used in case of Swamitra. Similarly, it is proposed in case of DGDA also, survey. Digitization, again, the second difference is, that means first difference was in establishing control point, where directly in DGD, we are going with codes or any available to tertiary. That means establishing a tertiary control point. Source is both continuing with RGB. Digitization in Swamitra was 2D. That means creating ortho image, and ortho image, then digitization. So in my experience or panelist experience, better accuracy can be achieved if we are going for 3D vector digitization, which is the old technique used in aerial photogrammetry, aerial photographs. Same thing which gives much better accuracy. So especially the area, if the area is dense, where especially orthophoto also fails to give the accuracy. It is proposed that 3D vectorization will be done using photogrammetric method. Then because it is 3D vector digitization, so it is possible to do presentation either in 2D form and 3D form also. In Swamitra, it is 2D map only. Web publishing, this is proposed because ultimately, government proposes Gati, they have proposals, so they have to integrate maps for all the department, which will not be possible if we have something on the web, which can be used by all the department and shared information. So here it is proposed that all this will be, it is not only publishing, it is making query system. So we are calling it WebGIS. Now here already I talked about this. So major emphasis in the third line that GCPs should be provided, like 5 to 7 kilometer, this GCP will be provided as a permanent station and using codes or any similar available base station. And from this 5 to 7 where you have a permanent structure also, so using that structure, the proposal is that in drone especially we should go for at least 1 by 1 kilometer patch. Because a smaller patch will have more distortion. So it is proposed that at least we go with 1 by 1 kilometer patch, and each patch you have 9 points. That means in a grid of 500 meter. And all these 9 points will be taken from the establishing your base on the this 5 to 7 kilometer, the permanent base which is already established using codes. So using that, for different patches, control points, which we are calling tertiary control point, will be established for each patch. And the last thing is, the patches will have at least 5% overlap. So here in data processing, the second step like in processing, we say data acquisition, data reduction or data processing. Third is data presentation. So in data processing, so it will be, because it is totally photogrammetric process, so photogrammetric software will be used. Why emphasis is on photogrammetric? Because mapping has approach from photogrammetric side as well as from GIS side. So many GIS software also has the facility to produce orthophoto. So that we don't call it professional photogrammetric mapping. So that's why the emphasis, and they will not have facility for 3D digitization. So once you are doing processing, then all GCP in patches will be identified. And then stereo and 2D digitization will be done depending upon the scale. On 1:500, it is 3D using stereo, and 1:1000, 2D. That is again the difference between what is proposed and Swamitra. 3D digitization will be done for buildings and all the three-dimensional structure on proper zoom level to achieve desired accuracy. Deliverable will be first as normal ortho image, but before that, because anytime anyone want to check the processing, so he should have original drone data, original control point coordinates and base station, and processing report defines the accuracy and how it is done. Then finally, for map, it will be 2D map or 3D map in shapefile, and for 3D, contouring or for all type of planning, DSM and DTM will be a form of deliverable. Then this is when you digitize, when that is called cartography map. Cartography map cannot be used for any query system. It should be GIS ready map. So here we are calling GIS ready map. GIS ready map is when all topological errors are removed. So here, that's why we again, that it should be, the topological correction should be done before coming to the GIS format. The final thing is validation and attribute entry. So what is proposed here, validation will be done on the ground on some additional control point or which are already measured. And now especially I have proposed that there should be a tablet type device as you have in mobile phone Google Map. Similar thing, only thing difference is in the background of that device you will have the ortho image, and but the GPS will be RTK GPS, GNSS. So that you get accuracy of 3 to 5 centimeter. If you want to do validation, you cannot do with inbuilt GPS. So that is proposed, and the data entry will be in the format, standard format, which is given in Amrit, and subsequently, it has the entries are increased as per the domain requirement. So for defense also, there may be few more attribute information that we need to add, finalize, so that will be done. The final thing is publishing on web, that is WebGIS. So this WebGIS should have function of integrating all the patches in a unified manner, seamlessly, which we call, and it can be accessed by multiple user. It should be accessed in real time. That is the proposal. So that is all for standard what is proposed by the panel. Thanks.
I would like to thank Professor Jain for the extremely detailed overview for the standards and providing the rich quantitative details of what is intended. I now request Mr. Smith Shah to please quickly share a few words, because he mentioned he had to leave for the other event, as the Bandhan event, yeah, from the Drone Federation of India, please.
Thank you, Professor Suri and Professor Kamal Jain. Firstly, before I make my remarks, I would want to appreciate this very bold step taken by DGD to think and come up with this draft standard. While a lot of drone-related projects and GIS projects are being undertaken across the country, there is always a requirement defined in each tender, and then based on each procurement that keeps changing. Never has been a very overall attempt made on defining this standard that we talk about, the land survey related standard for drones. And the very fact that we are talking about this and we are attempting this even after we have completed the cantonment surveys, it shows that this is not just about the requirement of standard for our work, but the learnings of our work that is now being translated into a standard, which will then be used by multiple other agencies, not just our agency. So this is what we need actually across the entire country. We start with land survey standards for drones, and then we move on to various other aspects of drones as well. So I would want to once again congratulate and thank Ajay sir for taking this entire initiative forward and sort of getting behind all of us to make sure that this happens. And that's the first point. When we talk about any technology, it's very important to sort of create benchmarks. And benchmarks can usually be created on people, process, or products. Whether it is the product that is being used, is there certain attributes or performance parameters that need to be standardized? Whether it is the process that will be used, where there are certain operational parameters that need to be standardized in the form of some guideline or some checklist. And the people and their qualification requirements. If these three aspects are taken care of, overall, it's fair to say that any technology will be able to be benchmarked and will be able to sort of create a standardization or equalization amongst multiple stakeholders. And that is what will happen when land survey standard for drone is going to be created, because so many projects coming up for drone surveys, it's by various state governments, various land record departments, Survey of India, all of DGD, all of these stakeholders working on the requirement. And every time the opinion is that a good bidder who understands the process ensures that he follows the entire process, delivers the right output, and then there are a few people who have started, don't follow the entire process or don't look at all aspects, and then it is, at the end of the day, the customer who suffers after completing the entire process. Because in areas like survey, the correctness of the outcome always comes after the data has been collected and it is being processed, and the accuracy is being verified, or the output of the data is being validated based on the requirement. So a lot of effort has been gone in this entire process. So a standard like this will ensure that a lot of redundant effort is wasted, a lot of unnecessary effort that could lead to a lot of wastage of resources will get eliminated, and a lot of new entrants will also get clarity on how to ensure that they deliver quality work. So if I know as a new business owner that if I want to get into land survey, this is the process that I need to follow, this is the technology that I need to have, and this is the attributes and benchmark that I need to follow. If there is a document available, if there is a benchmark available, I will most probably follow that, and the chance of me sort of doing good work increases further. This ensures that there is more quality across the entire industry, and that makes us ready for not just the domestic market but also for international market. So this is the importance of standards, and in almost all sectors we have seen that we are always followers in the standards domain. We have international standards bodies that keep creating standards from upcoming tech, and then we adopt those standards and bring it inside our products, which is why a lot of our product requirements are governed by what standards are made in the other countries across the world, and we are following them. But if this attempt is made for drones, for surveying and other aspects of drones, India has a chance to sort of lead the development in this technology, set benchmarks, and govern the global benchmarking sort of scenario, and hence push domestic drones as a product and service in the global market. So that is the importance of this work, and this is what will sort of help India and this entire opportunity in drones. Again, I mentioned products and services both. Once again, congratulations to everyone for putting in this effort, and it is our commitment that we'll keep contributing to this and we'll keep moving forward. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Yeah, you can.
Apologies, I will have to take a leave for the other session, but looking forward to working with all of you and collaborating further. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite Colonel Sharma to share his opinion from the Survey of India on the subject.
Thank you, Professor Manan Suri. Firstly,
Sorry, because of the time constraints.
thank you, sir. Firstly, it's a very proud moment for me to be sitting on this dais, sharing the dais with such eminent speakers and intellectuals of our nation. I am also proud to be associated with one of the oldest scientific organizations of India, that is Survey of India, which started the survey in this country way back in more than 250 years ago. We carried out the world's biggest survey project, that is a great trigonometrical survey. And we are again proud to bring in the drone revolution in country via projects like Swamitva and LSM. When we started the project like Swamitva, in fact, we were also a bit clueless because drone technology was in its nascent stage. There were extremely few players. In fact, we had to rely upon foreign bodies also. to get to know more about these drone technologies and how to use drones for land mapping and surveying. As we carried out the Swamitva project, we also evolved and the industry is also evolving. And now I'm extremely happy that we are finally setting some standards. These standards will help not just the end users like us, but also the industry to come out with the products which suit these standards. So the lack of clarity which we had initially when the Swamitva project was starting, and anybody who will be starting the projects after these drone standards are set. So there will be a huge difference. There will be a huge clarity in the minds of both the end user as well as the service provider. So this is a big step, and I would like to say, in fact, in this version 2 also, we'll be leaving a lot of options for and space for improvement in the future also. So as I said, this is an evolving technology. So as we will evolve, our standards will also keep on evolving. I hope Dr. Kamal Jain will agree to me that we'll not stop the work over here. We'll continue the work on immediately after this release of version 2. We'll start working on the version 3 also, because it's the latest technology in our market. It is evolving. So our draft standards also needs to be evolved. So looking forward to it, and I'd like to thank DGD and the Defense Secretary for inviting us to one common platform, and where we can finally create these draft standards for drones. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Sharma. So in the interest of time, I would request the fellow panelists to share one very important point in their opinion. Each one of them can share one point that they feel is the most important thing for the drone survey. So Dr. Tiwari, please, if you can.
I have 2-3 points.
Sure.
Please allow me to
please
share all the points.
Yeah.
In fact, this is an excellent this thing. And, for the audience and for all of us, I just noted down the possible, terms of references listening from Defense Secretary and DGD and everyone. First is that we want to have a standard which is flexible enough to be adopted by the global industry. At the same time, we want the standards to be specific enough to meet the requirements of the defense in particularly DGD. When I say the specific requirements of DGD, I mean that, we are working in different terrains, starting from Arunachal Pradesh to Ladakh, and then coming down to, the plains of Punjab and even down. Now, there is a variety of terrains, so you have to work for all the terrains. Secondly, there is a commercial, and like the panelists on the from the drone industry mentioned, that there is a commercial and the tendering aspect, because most of the work that DGD would be doing would involve contracting. So there is a contracting aspect also. And lastly, and most importantly, there is a legal aspect. There is a legal aspect in the sense that whatever output comes out of it, that can be challenged in the court. Because if there is an encroachment, if you have done some work out of this, and if you have declared there is some encroachment, it will essentially call for a legal this thing. So whatever we decide, whatever standards we form, they will again be in the court, and we should ensure that the standards are good enough, to defend ourselves in the court. Quickly, the other points is that, the standards, what we have already presented here, they are all built around a couple of things, and the major points are that first is there is a set of standards for the drone. The drone, what type of drone is to be used, what will probably yield a better results, and can probably work both in all types of terrain, starting from, as I said, the high altitude down to plains and even lower. Then there are data quality standards. We have addressed quite a bit in the draft that has been accepted here. The data quality standards, starting from calibration, data acquisition, stabilization, the resolution, etc. Then the selection of the sensors, another important requirement. It will again depend upon the specific requirements of the DGD, what type of sensors they want, and with the sensors, again, there will be standards for the sensors. Then the surveying and the mapping standards, what specific techniques, photogrammetry is the basic technique that we would probably be using. So the standards are related to this, that is starting from the projection systems, the geodetic control points, the benchmarks, the mapping techniques, the aerial triangulation, DSM, DTM, whatever you want, based upon the requirement, these all form part of the surveying and the mapping per se techniques. And CURS is the new thing that we must take into account, and as Dr. Kamal Jain said, that is an ongoing thing, and we must be able to incorporate that. One more thing which I forgot was that one of the terms of references for us is that whatever we are producing today with the help of the drone, it must not only be able to take into account the data which we already have from the older or the earlier technologies, but also be capable of adopting the technologies which may come in future. And lastly, the GIS and the Web GIS standards, Amrit standard and the other standards which already have been included, and lastly, the software-related standards. Whatever software, both the drone processing software, data acquisition, and the analysis standard, all these have been.
Only limited people had, and once upon a time only we had. Now at least few vendors have it. So what happened was, never with those type of systems we attempted for entire states. I should thank Survey of India for trying with the drone technology and doing state level, wherein the platform is it's not a stable one, and the cameras are non-metric, in the sense, whatever Sony cameras which you use for your tourist photography and other things, actually we have to thank them that they have established some of the standards and then proceeded in doing high precision works. So what we thought was drone flying in a marriage hall is not a problem as such, because it is just basically taking an image. What we now see is drone entering into remote sensing applications for ground survey, ground truth verification, and now it has entered into parcel mapping, where we are talking about 10 centimeter. What happens with the drone imagery as such is the format is very small. If you see, each image will be around 150 meter to 200 meter it covers, whereas an aerial photograph will cover around 1 kilometer to 2 kilometer. Whereas in the case of a satellite, it will be around 10 kilometer is the width it will cover. So with what happens, the number of images becomes more, the data volume increases drastically, so the processing capability in terms of hardware and software is going to be very critical. So what happens is, when this is happening, now what happened is platform has become cheaper, and because the drone you can get right from 1 crore, which is a custom drone, up to 30, 40 very good survey grade drones you can get. What happened now, the data acquisition is not a problem. The data processing and generation of a standard product has become an issue now. So one is that side, and what we see is that recently with the liberalized drone policy, anybody can fly in a green zone without any permission, as long as the drone is certified, and it can fly as per the DGCA regulations of 120 meter and visual line of sight. Parallelly, what happened, government has opened up the remote sensing data policy, wherein the data can be used by what was sometime back restricted, even within my organization, aerial photographs, for me to access the aerial photographs, it will be in a separate vault. Okay, now the government has opened up the sector. So one side you have a liberalized drone policy, other side you have a liberalized this one data policy, and I think the draft policy has been released last year, and very soon we are expecting the remote sensing data policy, wherein UAV data, mobile mapping data, the GNSS, GCPs, all will be opened up. So what is happening is, I was told recently some 2,000, 3,000 drones may be flying at this point in different corners of this country. So the draft standard or the drone standard has become very critical now. Time is running out because the industry has picked up in all fronts because of the open data policy and the liberalized drone policy. What I would, maybe since a lot of youngsters are there, what I will say is AI Cube is the thing that I will suggest here, or because academia, industry, institutions and intellectuals should put up their mind and come with a continuous development in terms of standards, so that this data can be used effectively in for societal applications and for national development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Narendra sir. So we have 12 minutes left officially as per the program, and we do value our audience as well. So I'll take one quick question before I move to the other half of the panelists. Anyone, is there any question so far in the audience? We can take one quick question and then move further for the discussions. Yes, sir, please.
We can ensure matching of survey maps with cadastral maps prepared by state governments.
So the question is that how we can ensure matching of cadastral maps with survey maps. Yeah, sir, do you like?
I think this is the problem in whether it is land record or in Swamitha everywhere. And if we understand the process by which all these are prepared, so this is not in the scope of matching, I'll say straight away. We should not try also. Ultimately, what is latest, which is more accurate, has to be accepted. So few state government already have, because land is the issue of government. We cannot decide, and it has to be passed through proper procedure. So few state government has taken up, and through their cabinet, they have resolved. So whatever stage they have to do, I think that has to be done. So ultimately, we are not trying to match. The latest has to be accepted, but original there is some area. So I think few state government has accepted that if the variation is within plus minus 5%, then it will be accepted as correct. So that is the only solution.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, please.
Very rightly said, Dr. Kamal Jain. Actually, this question is very relevant, but answer is not there. So what we can do is, that Defense Secretary was also, he shared this information with us. We can create two layers. One is the layer of what we have come out with the GIS mapping, drone mapping. Other is the revenue map layer. Let the two layers at present be separate layers. As and when the government comes out with the legislation, where they will say that instead of following the revenue maps, we will follow the GIS maps on as is, where is basis. Now that will take ages, because a person who is going to gain by this exercise of GIS mapping, somebody might be having more land than what is recorded in the revenue record. So he will gain, he will readily agree to that new law. But any other person who is losing the land, he will never agree. So that conflicting situation will remain. But ultimately, the truth will win. So GIS map should win, that is what I say.
Thank you, sir. So we'll move ahead to hear the valuable opinions of the other fellow panelists. So Professor Tiwari from IIT.
So thank you, Professor Suri. I will not take much time because most of the standard has already been discussed. But I will add one thing. Earlier, whenever I used to see the requirement of drone mapping for the land survey purpose, there it was mentioned that we need the vendor need to have this type of camera, this type of drone, and X, Y, Z. But never it was. I have seldomly seen that the quality aspect was defined in the tender or in the. So ultimately, what happened that the quality that the people wanted was never defined, so they never achieved that quality. But after coming of this standard, now we will say only that we need this quality of data, this is the accuracy requirement, this is the digitization accuracy requirement. So now we don't need to specify the platform or the camera, but we need to specify the quality that we need, and which will so anyone who will be taking the data, I take the data or you take the data, that will have the same quality. So now it will create a homogeneous kind of environment where everyone will be collecting the data, and it will remain, the quality will remain the same. So that is the best thing which will come out of this standard. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you. I thank Dr. Kamal Jain for bringing out a comprehensive policy, standard policy on this. I thank DGDE for inviting us to this committee. I am involved in delivering the data. As Kamal Jain ji said, the proof is in delivery. So I am working. We are also integrating the vector data, and we are collaborating, we are creating standards. Actually, integrating the attributes is a challenge. So we are working with that, with Survey of India, for bringing out a standard as far as attribute data is concerned. We are working with the states for bringing their data on this platform and creating analytics on that. So there are still some work is being done. We are still evolving in that sphere. I hope that by the end of this financial year, we can deliver some good output on the web through Gram Manchitra. I look forward all the people who are interested in seeing drone-based data to visit our website and have a flair there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also have some reps from the industry, Shri Rahul Jain and Shri Vipul Singh. So I would request you to share some quick points or quick thoughts.
Sure. Oh, thank you very much. So before I share any points, I would like to bring certain points so that you know these points are coming from a good amount of experience. So we have mapped close to 60 lakh acres of area for various projects, which includes, by the way, 10,000 square kilometers for large-scale mapping in Haryana using drones, and close to 32,000 villages already covered by us for Swamitwa scheme in different parts of the country. So we have understood in depth what goes wrong in the entire process of from procurement, data collection, data processing, storage, distribution, quality check. So my only submission is that when we are making these standards, we should have 10-day, 10-month, and 10-year vision, because it is going to evolve very fast. This whole sector is evolving very fast. 10 days, why? Because we are already halfway into it, using this solution for a lot of use cases. 10-month, because this will expand to different geographies in different environmental conditions, and we'll need more players. And we would have to ensure that there is unification or consistency in the output which is being generated. 10 year, because the use case of this data will evolve very fast. Right now, the only purpose for which this data is being used is limited to land records, which we feel that, especially I feel personally, that is an underutilization of this data. This same data can be used for at least 5 to 6 different applications, and it will end up being like a satellite market where anyone would be free to collect data and also sell the data to different people who would like to buy it. So imagining that marketplace approach, we should ensure that there is a standard to ensure that everyone who's into that business collects same quality of data, and everyone who's using that data should also generate same quality of output. So one problem as a supplier of this solution we have faced is that different state governments, different departments, different consumers have different approach towards quality checks, towards storage of data, towards handling of the data. So we also need to parallelly work on these factors, that once you have procured, once you have made standards for data collection and processing, how do you store, how do you do the quality check, and how do you further use the data for any other purpose? So those standards have to be also part of this particular standard which we are developing. Thank you.
Thank you. Shri Vipul Singh. Yeah, Tanmay. Okay.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. So my expertise basically lies in image processing and machine learning to that extent. So I had a bit of a different perspective to this problem. The first thing, basically what I wanted to say was, we need to look more in terms of application of how this will be used beforehand, rather than collect everything and then try to turn it into applications. Because again, right now everything, at least from my point of view, seems very broad, and if we try to at least quantify certain applications of this data that we collect, it will be much easier to establish the standards that we are creating. And secondly, I think this is the other thing that needs some attention, is the drones that we are going to use themselves, the payload that we are going to have on the drone, that affects to a large extent the quality of data that we get in. So the payload of the drone itself, the environment it would be working, plays a big part in the quality of the data that we eventually acquire. So it would be quite interesting to standardize the drone that we are going to be using as well. Again, using machine learning to process the data on the fly, or you can collect the data by the drone, get it on some system on land and then process it. It plays a lot of effect on how we are going to eventually get, how the data is eventually going to look, because the lenses can capture only so much. Eventually a big part of it goes into processing of it, and a big part of processing can only be done if you already have the foresight of how we would like certain things to be seen, right? Yeah, so that's my 2 cents in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanmay. So mysteriously, we still have 1 minute left. So one last audience question. If there is any question, we can take that and close the session. Yeah, we can also extend. So I would invite the audience to please bring up if they have any queries. So can you please pass the mic? Can someone pass the mic to the audience? Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening. So, sir, I'm a professor in SEPT University. So while teaching our students, sometimes we need to convince them related to projection system and datum, and we really find very hard to teach them effectively that what exactly it is. So my related question is, sir, what is the real problem behind or limitations of our polyconic and modified Everest, and why you have shifted to UTM and WS84? So that is my question.
I think a very relevant question. Initially, if you understand the projection when you are teaching, projection is actually you are trying to the piece which you have cut from the earth, you want to make it flat without any distortion. Means acceptable distortion. And when you teach this, there are 3 parameters: shape, area, and direction, which you have to compromise. And depending upon different countries, because shape is different, so the distortion, same thing when you are flattening, same projection will create different effect. So that's why, suppose for the, our country is almost like rectangular, so there they followed polyconic, especially for 1:50,000. For 250,000, it is not polyconic, it is marketer projection. When you are going for large scale, then large scale is almost flat area. So we say up to 180 square kilometer, the spherical system can be assumed as flat system. So it is coming that piece. So that's why UTM, that's why they have gone for UTM. Both systems are there, lat long and meters. And that 4/6 degree they assume that which comes in within that range, they assume it will be flat, a small piece, like cake piece you are cutting. So it is piece by piece. So here problem, land record problem actually will come when you are dealing not only small village but the district or country. Then it will not match. So right now we are not thinking like that because we are dealing this piece by piece. So GPS also is dealing piece by piece. That's why they have taken different zones. You can see 4 degree, they have taken one zone. Same coordinates you will get in second zone also. So 43 is one zone, which is, I think we are presently in 43. So
Gujarat will be in 42 or 43?
42, 43. So 42, the what coordinates you have, same coordinates you will have 43 also. GPS coordinates. So if you, that problem, if you don't deal in GIS, it will create problem. So that's why zone change also there are solution. So there is little complications. So, but when you get into those who are dealing large job, so they will understand when they are shifting zones how to deal with that. Right now, this problem is not solved, means not taken up. So that's why no one has realized that what will be the solution for this.
Can I add one point actually? See, what happened was this Everest and all was done when the satellite technology was not there. See, what happened, the Everest is a local ellipsoid with Kalyanpur as its origin, and that started long back during the British era, and subsequently Survey of India continued with it. What happened with the advent of GPS, what happened was it works on the WGS-84, which is a global ellipsoid, with the center as the center of the Earth as the center of the ellipsoid, nearly to the core of this one. So that actually what happened now, the entire coordinate system, if somebody talks other than the survey people, nobody will understand what is Everest and other things. Whereas invariably, since people use GPS, without knowing WGS-84, you are on the fly, you are really knowing the location. So with the advent of the satellite technology and that too global systems, the global ellipsoids have become the norm. And if you see the NAVIC system of ISRO also, the reference ellipsoid is WGS-84. Thank you.
Shall I add some more? Actually, in case you need to understand more about these projection and datum system, I'll request you to take some classes from Dr. Kamal Jain. So it's a very, it's a complete subject in itself. We take complete lifetime to understand it. And there are thousands of projection systems, datums. You can go and you have to select which is the best suited for your area. So I'll not touch upon that thing. There was another part of the question, why we shifted from polygonic to OSM and DSM series. So what used to happen, like I'll tell you my live example. In the previous, this geospatial policy has opened up just now. So before that, we had a classification system of map sheets. We had top secret, secret, restricted, and then the normal sheets. So for a general public, only the normal sheets were available, these polyconic sheets. I'll tell you, I was posted in Calcutta. There used to be one retired senior IAS officer who was managing director of a cement company. And that cement company was half into India and half into Bhutan. And there, it's a, like if you go to Meghalaya also, so majority of these kind of cement companies, they are half into India and half into Bangladesh. And so many other industrial hubs are there, so which are situated near to border and all those areas. But government has a policy that you have to clear your plan based upon the map of Survey of India. So they used to come to us asking for, requesting for कि sir आप अपना map दे दीजिए, हमें अपना plan approve करवाना है. And that area is a restricted area, either secret or something, because those areas. So what we did, we created two different. One series was absolutely meant for defense forces, in which everything was included. So now they can be catered separately, and then rest of the India. Initially, we created open series for a selected area. We left out the border areas, and by I think 2015-16 we started off for the international border areas. And right now every inch of the land, every map sheet is available for government. We have gone one step ahead. We have created our own portals, Manchitra, if you can go over there, and now we are uploading our map sheets free of cost. You can just go download over there in PDF format. You have to just have a Aadhaar card. You should be an Indian to download those map sheets. Free of cost, you can download those maps, print at your home and use them. So just to make it accessible to common man, we created these two series of maps. Thank you.
Myself, Parul Patel. I'm professor in one of the university, Nirma University, here in Ahmedabad. Sir, my question is, you have, given, probably, in the guideline, you have talked about RGB camera and the drone. But what about, the other camera like hyperspectral or multispectral? So is there any plan for the same? So, sir, just.
I think the purpose of cameras are different. In hyperspectral also, there is a panchromatic band. Especially photogrammetry, still, it is advised to work in panchromatic. And the reason is it covers the larger band, it has the maximum information. Hyperspectral has very narrow information which cannot be used for mapping. So, here we are defining a standard for mapping.
Basically, in this project, it's a question of land parcel measurement where the spatial resolution plays its part, and right now we are focusing only on the RGB. Since I am from the remote sensing background, parallel efforts are being taken to define standards for multispectral data handling, thermal, hyperspectral, and also bathymetry and UAV-based lidars. What happens, that becomes a specialized area wherein we can work separately, whereas the RGB camera with the platform is very common. Whereas the other sensors caters only to specialized people in specific applications.
But I have a point here. While you brought a point about multispectral cameras, one thing is important to understand for all of us on the panel is that 30% of India's landmass has got dense canopy over it, especially Western Ghats and northeastern states. So we should consider at least LiDAR in our standards, because those are the sensors which will be useful to do land parcel mapping for even these areas. And today we have LiDAR available which are compatible with low weight drones.
No, I agree with you, but as I said, now it is for the DGD to outline the requirement very clearly as to what the applications are there. Like for example, in Delhi, there is a ICAR, Agriculture Research, and they are also coming out with a manual of drone-based agriculture survey. There they have considered all the types of cameras. So should you consider that? Should you like to have that? Then it is possible. Then again, then in that case, mapping requirements will increase, and the mapping techniques will also.
I think, the main purpose in land record is 2D. LiDAR always is advised for 3D. So that's why we have not emphasized, and when you are going for large area, right now, equating both in tender, you cannot have different rates for normal RGB and LiDAR. It is almost 5 to 10 times costlier. So especially if when we are emphasis is on third dimension, then that's why we discussed in yesterday we discussed all this option of LiDAR. But thing was that a large area India initially proposing for going for accuracy for third dimension, but still I think let me tell you, ultimately why the LiDAR was advocated, because it was giving point cloud. And photogrammetry was not giving point cloud that time. It was only manual digitization. But in recent last 8 to 10 years, photogrammetry also start giving point cloud. So that means both job now converged. Software after point cloud is different, whether it is from LiDAR or from photograph. Other problem which we discussed yesterday, because processing of LiDAR, again it is very specialized. So some vendor may be having, we will be restricting, and it is a very large area. So I think it will be, in a way, we will be increasing cost. So what accuracy we require will be possible through aerial.
We can discuss in the sidelines, sir. We have some practical experiences. There are certain areas where RGB won't serve the purpose because you're not able to see the
actually, in
land.
case of canopy, we discussed in the panel actually. What we thought is if Kant has got a special requirements, on a case-to-case basis, we can think of LiDAR as a part of this survey, but emphasis will be on the RGB initially.
I think your point will come valid when we have got defense land, especially as you said in the northeastern area or in say mountain hills, where the elevation is varying from say 0 feet to 1,000 feet also at times, particularly say in Arunachal Pradesh. But because that is something which we are not surveying at present, but if this point has to be kept into mind, maybe we take it up in the next version. We discussed this.
That was the proposal, that it will be included in the revised version. And as you rightly said, if you are planning for hilly area, whether it is a border area or any area which Dr. Tiwari also said, better would be LiDAR. Because in aerial, height difference, you have to plan the patches separately. But with LiDAR, it can be a single patch.
Can we say that this particular exercise is for those lands which are generally flat?
Yes.
Not only flat, even canopy is also limited.
The way to filter is whether how much is the canopy coverage, not flat or hilly, but canopy coverage.
That is okay, but because now, see, most of our land is basically plain land, in the sense canopies are not really much. We can have first part made on the RGB basis only, but then maybe we may have to come out with this LiDAR based system also. But we'll take a call on this later on. I think this topic is so, yeah.
Even if you want to do a standard for mining, then LiDAR automatically comes into play.
Yeah.
So it depends on the problem statement and the
correct.
requirement.
Yes, it was rightly stated in the initial discussions in the panel that we should very carefully and clearly define the objective. So the objective today, let us keep it simple, because otherwise we will be extending into multiple fields. So I think time is not much, otherwise this is such a huge knowledge bank we have. You raise a question and many new things will open up. So I think moderator has to then take a call.
Yeah, so I think we can end the session with that. And I would like to thank, yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, that was quite an engaging session. Thanks to the lovely audience as well for the participation. In the interest of time, I'm going to request Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma, Director General Defence States, to kindly join us on the stage and help us to hand over the mementos to the esteemed panelist and the moderator. Let's get started with Professor Kamal Jain, Professor IIT Roorkee. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We are absolutely delighted to have you here. Next, may I request Shri V. Udaya Kumar, DDG, NIC, New Delhi, to kindly join us. Next, may I request Shri J. Narendra, Scientist Engineer, NRSE, Hyderabad. Next, may I request Professor K.C. Tiwari, Professor, Delhi Technology University. Next, may I request Dr. Reet Kamal Tiwari, Assistant Professor, IIT Ropar, to kindly join us next. Next, may I request Professor Tanmay Tulsidas, Assistant Professor, BITS Pilani, Goa, to kindly join us. Next, may I request Colonel Rajat Sharma, Director, Survey of India, Dehradun, to kindly join us next. Requesting Shri Vipul Singh, CEO, Aero, to kindly join us next. Our last panelist, Shri Rahul Jain, MD Matrix Geo Solutions Private Limited, is not here, and moderator, Professor Manan Suri, Professor, IIT Delhi. And with this, requesting Mr. Abhishek Tripathi, Director General, to kindly join us for the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma, Director General Defence States, esteemed panelists sitting on dais, professors and students from CEPT University, Nirma University, Khyati School of Engineering, participants from nascent info technologies, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of COE Survey and DGD, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Defense Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar and DGD Shri Ajay Kumar Sharma. Sir, you have been a constant source of motivation and inspiration for us. Your guidance drives us on daily basis, sir. I would like to thank Professor Kamal Jain, Professor IIT Roorkee, for associating with us. Sir, thank you for sparing your valuable time out of your busy schedule and for playing a central role in preparation of version 2 of draft standards in this seminar. Professor Manan Suri, first of all, many congratulations for being a recipient of Raksha Mantri Award for Excellence. This effort of preparation of draft standards would not have been possible without your valuable contribution. You are the one who identified the very necessity for preparation of standards of drone imagery for land survey. I thank you for playing a pivotal role in this effort. I would also like to thank Shri Smith Shah, President Drone Federation of India, Shri Vipul Singh, for providing us with valuable suggestions and feedback from industry perspective. I also thank Colonel Rajat Sharma, J. Narendran sir, and Professor Reet Kamal Tiwari. Sir, your contribution in finalization of version 2 of trust standards is pivotal, sir. It would not have been possible for the kind of efforts you took yesterday and got it finalized. Shri V. Uday Kumar, DDGNIC, Professor K.C. Tiwari, and Professor Tanmay Warlekar, I extend my gratitude for your participation in this seminar and enlightening us with your valuable suggestions and feedback. I thank officials of Department of Defense Production, Shri Ajay Dubey ji, Shri Shrikant ji, RMC, Ms. Noor, and staff of CAN board led by Shri Gokul Mahajan for providing us the logistical support for organization of this event. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our wonderful audience comprising of participants from industry, academia, students, and for showing your interest in this seminar. I sincerely hope that this seminar shall prove to be a stepping stone in our goal of development of standards of drone imagery for land survey, not only for specific applications of Ministry of Defense, but for organization, institutions in other government bodies, private enterprises, and larger academic and scientific community. In the end, I would like to specify, as our DG stated, that this seminar is just a single step in this long journey, long and continuous journey. And to sum up this event, I will sum up this event with these 4 lines, कि अभी तो इस बाज की असली उड़ान बाकी है, अभी तो इस परिंदे के कई इम्तिहान बाकी हैं, अभी तो लांगा है समंदरों को हमने, अभी तो पूरा आसमान बाकी है. Thank you.